undisclosed location is allotment plot number 36A, where I asked myself lots of really challenging questions, like how do they produce tomatoes in the middle of winter? I can't produce tomatoes in the middle of winter, not even in my greenhouse. What's that little bird doing over there? And how did they produce gunpowder before the wonders of modern technology, without electricity and industry? And during the downfall of society, will people be able to continue to produce gunpowder? Does that mean that once the electricity is switched off, it won't matter who's got the guns, but who's got the allotment? So I'm going to try to grow gunpowder at the allotment. Well, I say grow, probably mean produce, because let's face it, you can't grow everything, or can you? That's what I'm going to find out. I hope you'll join me. I'm going to produce a number of videos just exploring that topic, whether we can actually grow gunpowder at the allotment. So gunpowder is a low explosive, which is actually pretty simple to produce when you think about it, because a low explosive is just an oxidizer and some fuel. The oxidizer is usually saltpeter, potassium nitrate, and the fuel is usually carbon mixed with sulfur. Carbon's just charcoal. That's black powder. I think that sulfur might actually be the downfall of this particular project. Producing sulfur here at the allotment might be a bit of a trick. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. But there's also white powder, which is essentially just an oxidizer plus sugar. Sugar's pretty easy to get hold of, but can I produce it at the allotment? So I'm in the greenhouse, and the first problem I need to solve is how to grow saltpeter on the allotment. By grow, I mean I need to grow the crystals, quite literally. I need to grow crystals. So saltpeter is potassium nitrate, and so we're going to need a source of nitrogen, urine. We're also going to need a source of nitrogen fixing bacteria, horse poo. Now luckily, thanks to me being on the allotment, there is plenty of urine, and also because I like my vegetables to grow, there's also lots of horse poo, which I rot down and make fertilizer out of, or compost. So in essence, all we have to do is mix the horse poo with the urine and let it rot for about a year. Okay, so we've got 5 litres of wee and a whole load of horse poo. So the urine obviously contains urea, and the horse poo contains nitrogen fixing bacteria. What that's going to do is break down the urea into nitrates, probably calcium nitrate primarily. And from the calcium nitrate later on we will be able to make saltpeter. So all I've got to do is get myself a bucket, and in here I'm going to put plenty of horse poo. Oh, look at that, lovely. This is quite new horse poo, only a few months old, and this is very old, probably 5 years. I wasn't sure which would be better, so I've got a bit of both. Put that in there, and then quite literally all I'm going to do, the urine on, that is great. Luckily we don't have smell-o-vision, because this 6-month-old wee, let's just say it doesn't just smell of ammonia. It's actually gone a little bit thick and horrible in the last 6 months. There we go. Right, all we have to do now is leave that covered up a little bit in a shady spot for like a year, although it's already been rotting for 6 months, so I'm hoping another 6 months will do the trick. Don't try this at home, it's disgusting. Okay, so I've been handling poo and 6-month-old urine, so I think it's time to wash my hands thoroughly. I'm doing that, let's just discuss, well, how am I going to turn all of that calcium nitrate into saltpeter, potassium nitrate? Well, I'm obviously going to need a source of potassium. So wood ash. Wood ash is predominantly potassium carbonate. So when it comes to it, we will mix in some wood ash, and that will give us potassium nitrate and presumably some calcium carbonate, which I'm guessing is not going to be dissolved in the water, because the potassium nitrate will certainly be dissolved in the liquid content. But the potassium carbonate should come out as a solid, so we'll find out later. So why am I sitting in my willow tree to film about gunpowder? Well, willow actually makes very good gunpowder. You need a source of carbon, and one of the best sources of carbon for gunpowder is willow charcoal. And the reason why the charcoal from willow is better than other woods is because willow grows so quickly. It's basically like a sponge. It uses water to expand really quickly. It soaks up water, and that causes the cells to elongate as it's growing. And because those cells have a larger surface area, when you make charcoal for gunpowder, that larger surface area gives more opportunity for the combustion reactions to take place, and you end up with a really good gunpowder. You might also choose to use pine cones. Pine cones in particular are really good for making charcoal for gunpowder that's being used for fireworks, because it's got a slightly higher oil content than many other woods, and so that's preferable for that. But what we want is a bit of clout, a nice big loud bang. So I think willow's the way to go. Okay, black powder needs sulphur. Apparently, you can extract sulphur from onions. So let's head over to the vegetable patch and let's have a look. We are growing some onions. That's actually not the main onion bed, but I can't be bothered to go over there right now. But if I can't produce sulphur, then maybe I'll have to make white powder. White powder's the fuel is sugar. So please join me for the biggest reveal of the century. This is sugar beet, and I'm hoping to make granulated white sugar from the sugar beet. I don't know exactly how to refine it, but I know it involves calcium at some point. And luckily here we're on chalk, so there's plenty of calcium to be obtained from chalk, so hopefully I'll be able to use that. Honestly don't know, this is just a proof of concept, so perhaps I'm going to have to find a different way of finding sugar or sulphur. But I'm growing the onions and I'm growing the sugar beet, and we'll find out in hopefully within the next year whether we can do this. Can we grow gunpowder on the allotment? I think the answer is yes. I think we can. If they could do it in medieval times, before the wonders of modern technology, before the Industrial Revolution, then I think we can do this. Well, I think I can do this. So if anybody's got any ideas on how to refine sugar from sugar beet, because frankly sugar beet's probably something like 10-20% sugar, I think I'll get molasses sugar, maybe. Okay, so I'm in the willow tree and I'm just gonna set down some ground rules about this proof of concept. The aim is for me to use anything that's naturally at my disposal at the allotment, and not to use too much from outside of that, but I will allow a little bit of leeway. So things that are really just so widely available that I would just be able to get them out of a rubbish bin or anything, even during the downfall of society. So things like glass jars, I'm probably going to need some, and I'll allow myself to use them even though I might not have them on my plot. I'd probably be able to find them on other people's plots during the downfall of society, but I'm not going to go robbing them just to make this video. So I'll allow that sort of thing. If I need to make a fire, which I will in order to make the charcoal, I'm going to use a lighter or a box of matches or something to light it, because I know that if I really had to, I probably could rub sticks together and make fire, but I think life's too short to really be doing that for this. Although if people really want to see it, maybe I will make a fire without using matches, but I'm going to give myself a little bit of leeway. Okay, well I think that's enough for one day. So I'm closing the greenhouse door and heading off. Next time I think I'm probably going to look at charcoal. Work out how we're going to produce some charcoal. There's some different ways of doing that, and what wood to use and all the rest of it. So for now, thanks for joining me. And next time, we'll see if we can grow some charcoal on the allotment.